Hey there, scary story fanatics! Welcome back to Cleaving Thought from Bone with your host, Sociopathic. It's mid-February and love is in the air. There's something about Valentine's Day that makes me feel so nostalgic. Whether you're missing the one that got away or find yourself obsessed with another, settle yourselves in for a tale of bleeding hearts that I like to call Be My Valentine.
The chill of an early February morning kissed the outsides of the bedroom's window glass, creating a crystallized border lining its rectangular circumference. I opened my eyes and peered across the room and through the center of the partially obstructed portal to have my eyes greeted with the gray clouds of AM sky. I laid my right arm across the bed to my side to discover the touch of cold blankets and an empty mattress. She must already be up, I thought to myself. With a groan, I sat up into position, scratched my face, and readied myself to prepare for the day. There's only so much preparation one can do when you don't expect to find your wife sobbing in the corner of the shower, collapsed onto her knees and sobbing into her hands. As I ventured my way into the bathroom for my morning relief, that is exactly what I found. I had heard her weeping as I approached the bathroom, so I had an idea of what I was in for. What caught me off guard was the prescribed remedy I was about to endure. By the time I had gotten her naked body off the bathroom floor and into a dry towel, I was soaking wet, giving me need for my own towel as well. "Honey, what's wrong?" I asked her, but I already knew. She just gave me that look, reflecting the preposterous context of my rhetorical question in her glistening, teary eyes. I left her sitting on the throne as I fumbled through the prescription bottles in the medicine cabinet. For times like these, the doctor had prescribed her Thorazine. 1 pill would calm her down, and 2 to put her to sleep. I decided to give her 1 and see how she felt in an hour. Unfortunately for me, I suffered an extra 15 minutes of bladder pains and pee dances before I managed to find the time to relieve my morning self. Of course, she didn't have to ask me first. She was even told to just call if she felt the need to, but while I was upstairs getting dressed is when she took him up on his offer. It wasn't too big a deal. But imagine my surprise when I had come downstairs to discover that she had made plans for a day trip between the time I had sat her down at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and the time I had fastened my belt around my waist, finishing my daily dressing ritual. My wife, Mia, has had, well, let's just say issues since her college years. She suffered a traumatic experience that has had a detrimental impact on her life ever since. In order to receive the medication that she takes, she's required to visit a licensed therapist once every month. This particular therapist had told her to call if she had ever felt the need to do so. Well, on this particular morning, she felt the need to do just that. I knew the day was going to be a rough one, full of consolation and repetitive motions of annual sympathy. But as I walked into the kitchen, coffee aromas rising to my nostrils as I filled my mug, Mia presented me with yet another surprise. During her last visit to his office, he proposed she return to the scene of the event that both her and he recognized as the root of her problem. But at the time, as she had informed me, she felt reluctant to pursue her therapist's suggestion and decided it would be a bad idea. Now, however, during the course of the morning and my presence absent from the kitchen and nearby landline, the man was finally able to talk her into it. As if the relentless whining and sobbing wasn't enough, now I would have to spend the majority of my day traveling 3 hours each way, back and forth, to Mia's former alma mater. With a sigh that bordered between the intentions of hiding it and purposeful presentation, I walked over to her, groomed my fingers through her hair, and gave her a loving kiss. I sat down in the chair next to her, sitting sideways with my right arm to the back. No point in getting comfortable. We'd have our shoes on and be out the door in only a few minutes after we finished our cups of rich, dark roasted Java. The repetitious thump of tires across intervals of contraction lines in the highway's pavement droned out as we made our way across the blustery countryside and towards our destination. I did my best to make small talk with Mia, but she didn't say much, remaining mostly quiet and reserved. I could tell she was feeling apprehensive of the emotions this excursion would stir, but I honestly was a little anxious to arrive. My memories of the place were those of fond ones. It's where I met her for the first time, after all. The campus itself is nothing short of monolithic, an archaic museum of buildings constructed for various educational specializations, all placed within the setting of what could be described as a sprawling park. Paved walkways crisscrossed the grounds, which were bordered by tree lines on 3 sides and a river on the 4th. The center of the campus was thick with forest life and tall trees, and the buildings within reminded me a little of Hogwarts. Of course, in correlation with the season, everything was gray and sparse, trees devoid of their leaves, revealing the evergreens through their spiderweb of skeletal branches. Neither Mia nor I said a word to one another from this point on until we parked the car. I had heard the story many times beforehand, lived it beforehand, and knew exactly where to park without her having to tell me or I having to ask. Over at the far east end, adjacent the river's edge, was a tree line in which some of the paved walkways extended. This was our destination, and Mia's location of psychological torment. I unbelted myself and opened the door. Climbing to my feet, I leaned back in, Mia just sitting with a vacant stare, glaring through the windshield. "You coming?" I asked her. She said nothing. "Come on, honey. Everything's gonna be fine," I reassured her. With a sigh, Mia unbuckled her seatbelt and opened the door. After stepping out, we both shut them in unison. Hand in hand, the two of us started down a path most significant to Mia and her memories. The landscape can change so much as seasons progress. Time takes hold, and monuments fade. But in actuality, those woods were as pristine and silent as they were on that fateful day. With each subsequent step, the two of us walked a tragedy lane, memories flooding back with each movement forward. The deeper into the woods we progressed, the deeper her mind slipped forth the buoyant recollections of crestfallen past. We both recalled the account of Mia's attack. During the weeks leading up to Valentine's Day, many years ago, Mia received frequent letters from a secret admirer. A few times she had caught notice of this shadow watching her in the distance, but she never did get a good look at him or affirm his identity as her admirer or stalker. On Valentine's Day, she had gone for a walk to escape her current boyfriend, who was being somewhat of an ass at the time. It was cold, dark, and she was all alone on these trails. Well, alone except for the one who pursued her, watching her from the shadows, just out of eyeshot. With no one around to hear her scream, this mystery man attacked Mia, throwing her to the ground, and forced himself upon her. It was the one and only time she actually got a good look at that face. And as we walked, her eyes welling up in tears, I couldn't help but find myself in wonder. A name change is cheap, and plastic surgery affordable to more people than one would think. I don't understand how she could have such prolonged, painful memories regarding a man that she unknowingly married.
Every rose has its thorn. Nobody's perfect, and how well can you really know somebody? So, whether you're looking to close the deal or just fight for survival, remember, this is the love you asked for. And as always, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications so I can swoon you all again next Saturday.